Wow, I had a feeling this movie was gonna be bad, but I didn't think it was gonna be this stupidly bad. I already said that I was gonna do movie reviews and game reviews and other stuff aside from Shareverse content, so I might as well just talk about a movie that I literally just saw in theaters. The first A Quiet Place movie wasn't that bad, but when you consider all the plot holes and plot conveniences that were in the film, it starts to diminish in quality. This movie takes that level and amplifies it so much to the point where it's just completely out of realism. The movie starts with a flashback, day one before the alien invasion. John Krasinski and his family are at a baseball game, and then, of course, the cliched dog senses danger before the humans do happens. But in the context of the film, it's completely stupid because the meteor is in front of everyone. It's literally in front of the sky. I'm surprised that literally nobody saw the meteor before the dog barked, not even the Empire or any of the players in the baseball field. Also, you know how the aliens show up whenever the movie wants them to show up? Well, it happens almost immediately because without warning, the aliens, they just show up. Normally, we all assumed that the aliens first showed up after the meteor crashes onto Earth. In fact, we don't even see the meteor crash into Earth. The meteor is just in the air, and then all of a sudden the aliens show up. They don't even come down or hatch out of the meteor. They're just there. And of course, because John Krasinski is just absolute fucking moron, he thinks that, oh, without any build-up, the jump scare will be suspenseful. When actually it isn't, because there's no people screaming that, oh my god, there's a giant alien. No, it just shows up out of fucking nowhere. When all this noise is happening, you think it would go for the loudest thing, but no, it's literally just a cop car, and the siren isn't even on. So why would you go after a car that's not even making noise in the first place? Anyway, John Krasinski and the little girl, they go in the car, and of course, once again, the girl's deaf, so every time it cuts to her perspective, everything is deaf and, silent, and, that's fine and everything, but sometimes later in the movie, there's no context, so there's shots of the little girl, Reagan, and you still hear audio, so sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, they both go into a bar, and everyone is hiding and cowering. One guy is starting to pray, and then John Krasinski covers his mouth because it just so happens that even though this alien invasion has literally just started, he somehow knows that we can't make sound. And then, of course, the only way John Krasinski can ever have conflict in his movies, if he has a stupid fucking kid. We saw it in the first movie, and it happens again in this movie, where a girl's phone starts to go off, and the aliens just starts to attack the entire bar. Really? That girl thought not to mute her phone or silence it as soon as she got the notification that she shouldn't make any noise? But of course, this is John Krasinski. We need to have a stupid fucking kid cause problems. Also, I know the movie's rated PG-13, but we never see actual gore or blood in this movie. The aliens are so powerful that they could kill people with just one hit. It's just ridiculous. Except, of course, sometimes when they kill people, it takes them more than one hit. Only when the movie wants it to happen. Seriously, can we have PG-13 movies to have more balls and show actual blood and gore? That's the reason why we invented the PG-13 system, to make that bridge between PG and R. Can we at least just show some sort of gory imagery in a PG-13 movie? Anyway, John Krasinski reunites with Emily Blunt, and then the flashback ends with the cop shooting the alien, and then we cut to Marcus, the little son, crying in fear, and then it jump cuts to the end of the first movie. We don't even get to see the family being okay or safe. The flashback just ends and we just assume that everything just survives and they just hide for over a year. And then the movie actually begins. Honestly, I was a little optimistic about this movie because I thought that half the movie was just going to be flashbacks of how everything went to shit. And that would have been a better approach of a sequel to A Quiet Place, because the first movie was an open and shut case. But for the sequel, we actually got to see how and why things are the way they are. But this is the only flashback we get in this movie, so everything else is just gonna suck. Well, things already suck, but they're gonna suck even harder now. So remember how at the end of the first movie, when Emily Blunt kills the first alien and there's two more that are on their way, and she gives Reagan the look that, oh yeah, we're gonna kill them? Well, guess what? The aliens don't even show up. Yeah, that entire cliffhanger at the end of the first movie, yeah, just completely ignored. So they all leave the house. Yeah, they leave the house. They have the ultimate weakness for these aliens. and they don't even bother to actually stay in the house to feel more safe and secure. Although they do bring one of the amplifiers for Reagan to use their weakness, but why would you want one speaker when you could have 100? Anyway, they go see the other houses that they were in contact with back in the first movie, and of course, Emily Blunt triggers a sound alarm, and one of the aliens goes after her. Although thankfully they are smart enough to use the speaker right away to get their weakness, and the person they're seeing is named Emmett, and he has a sniper rifle, and he shoots the head clean off. Anyway, they go see Emmett, and he says that he can't help them because he doesn't have enough supplies for them. And honestly, I thought he was going to be like a twist villain, because that's what you do with all these zombie apocalypse movies, right? You can't trust anyone other than yourselves. But no, that twist never happens in the movie, because I thought that he actually killed his family and not the aliens, but no, he's actually just a normal good guy. Honestly, I should give them credit that they didn't go with that route, but I'm just so used to it that I thought it was gonna happen. Anyway, while they were running away from that alien, Marcus got his foot trapped in a bear trap, so now he has to listen to music while he was healing, and he hears the song Somewhere Over the Sea, and Emmett says that that song plays all the time, and apparently because now, by the end of the first movie, Reagan is now a super fucking genius who knows everything about these aliens, even though she just found out about this ultimate weakness literally the exact same day. She apparently knows that, oh, the song Somewhere Over the Sea is actually a signal. And it turns out that there's an island right off the map of where they are. So are you telling me that John Krasinski's character, this super ultimate genius who knows about these aliens, who's been studying these aliens for over years now, who has made an entire contraption for his newborn son when he's born into this world, and he didn't put two and two together that, maybe that one radio station that plays the same song over and over again, maybe that's a message. Maybe there's some people living on an island right off of the land that I'm currently standing on. And don't tell me that he didn't know because, oh, well, he didn't have a map. He had the map with him this entire time, and it only took Emmett and Reagan an entire day just to get to the docks with the boats. He could have easily had Emily Blunt's character give birth and then say, pack your things, we're gonna get onto the docks and gonna go to this island so we could be safe and secured. Are you telling me he didn't think that, but his daughter, who hated him not even 24 hours ago, figured this out within the matter of an hour? That is bullshit. Anyway, Reagan tries to convince her brother to go with her, but he says no, and I mean, why would he? His leg hasn't even healed from the bear trap, so what the hell is he gonna do? Anyway, Emily Blunt is really pissed off about this, so she asks Emmett if he could rescue her. So she's on a train, and while she's on the train, we only get like one cheap jump scare, and that's one thing I could commemorate about this movie, is that unlike the first movie, there were like a million cheap jump scares. This one only has like maybe one or two, so it's not really that bad. Anyway, one of the aliens finds Reagan, but she doesn't hear it until she sees it. She uses the weakness and then hits it with a shotgun shell, but she completely misses the head, and then as soon as it's about to kill her, Emmett shows up right behind the alien and shoots it point blank in the head, despite the fact that Reagan was literally right next to the alien. In reality, that bullet went straight through the alien's skull into Reagan's head. John Krasinski thinks that having something look cool doesn't mean it's going to make sense. This is a pretty simple style over substance situation that I'm actually surprised John Krasinski didn't even think about. Anyway, Emmett says that he's going to call Emily Blunt's character and the others that Reagan's at a shopping area, and then Reagan goes to sleep. And then when she wakes up, she realizes that she doesn't even have any of her equipment. So Emmett just took all of her shit so she could be left for dead. And then, as soon as you think that Emmett betrayed her, no, we actually went to go see if there were any boats in an area, and there were. So seriously, this entire scene was completely pointless and you could have removed it. What, was it supposed to have Reagan gain Emmett's trust? By abandoning her without any weapons? This is also where Emily Blunt's character does something really stupid as well. She says she's going to leave Marcus and the baby by themselves, even though Marcus barely knows how to control a baby, and she says that she'll be right back. But all she really does is she gets more supplies, an oxygen tank for the baby, and also leaving her wedding ring where the cross was at the beginning of the first film. which is like, why would you leave both of your sons in jeopardy when you could have easily brought them to wherever you had to go? And of course, because John Krasinski can't write children, so they have to cause conflict, Marcus decides to almost suffocate the baby in its coffin with barely any oxygen for it to breathe in and to go explore the area. And this is where I thought Emmett was going to be like the twist villain, but he just keeps the corpses of his family for some reason that's never really explained. Anyway, Marcus makes noise, and of course the aliens hear it, and he locks himself up with his little brother in the boiler room where they have little to no oxygen to breathe on. Anyway, Emmett and Reagan go to where the docks are, and they see a little girl who's actually a part of a trap of like a biker gang. And this is where I thought that the movie was gonna explore the worlds of A Quiet Place. I mean, it is the same writer and director, so you think he would have had other things to do in this world, but it turns out it's just all the same. Like, I honestly thought that there were gonna be like factions that they would explore, like maybe have one group of humans where they worship the aliens as their gods, or have them used as entertainment, or like in a gladiator match, or even use them to study them, or they have like a live alien that they could research and see, what makes them tick, what are their weaknesses. We never get any of that. Instead, they're just bad guys for the sake of bad guys. Anyway, Emmett tells Reagan to dive underwater because that's something that happens in the flashback. So there's a callback to that. And then he uses the alarm to trigger the aliens to kill all the biker dudes. Again, it's all in PG, so we never see actual blood and carnage. And then this is also when Emily Blunt sees that Emmett's place is all messed up, and she tries to free her sons. So she uses one of the two oxygen canisters that she got, and she somehow starts a fire with the gasoline, somehow. And then you think that, oh my god, fire is their weakness, but no, the aliens are resistant to fire, which actually is pretty nice that they don't actually make the aliens more weaker. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later. So Emily Blunt's character decides to make more noise with the water sprinkler so she could rescue Marcus and the baby, and they're all kept in the boiler room, now all sharing oxygen. Anyway, while the aliens are attacking the biker gang, one of them falls into the water, and it turns out that the aliens can't swim. Yep, they decided to invade a planet where 85% of it is water. Christ, this is almost as bad as Signs, but at least in that movie it was somewhat realistic and understandable. Besides, that movie came out almost 20 fucking years ago. Emmett somehow gets one of the keys to the boat, which just so happens to be the exact same boat Reagan is using, and they both head to the island, not even thinking about the safety of Emily Blunt's character, Marcus, or the baby. They're very selfish. Again, John Krasinski can't write fucking children except for making them plot conveniences. Anyway, so they get to this island, and it's pretty much normal. Everyone's talking, having a barbecue in the middle of a fireplace, and they're not even flinched about the fact that there were humans, outsiders, in their island. They just accept them with open arms. In fact, we don't even get to see a scene where Emmett introduces himself. No, it just happens. And again, Reagan, even though she's supposed to be deaf, every time she's on screen, we never get to see her perspective of just silence. So, I guess we're just gonna throw that trope out of the window. Anyway, the guy talks to Emmett and he says that only 2 boats got there instead of 12 because people are assholes, which says something about our social commentary, blah blah blah, I don't care. And then the next morning happens, and it turns out that one of the boats at the docks is there, but there are no humans. You wanna know who drove the boat? One of the fucking aliens. I uttered an audible what as soon as I saw that in theaters, because that has to be the most stupidest, contrived method of having conflict. Like, how the hell is an alien that can't see or smell somehow drive a boat to an island? And don't tell me that the ocean currents did it, because there's a good chance that that boat had an anchor at the bottom of the ocean. That boat wasn't going anywhere. Just like always, the alien starts creating a panic, killing everybody. Again, PG-13, so there's no blood and gore. Fucking pussies. And Emmett tells Reagan that they have to leave the area, even though Reagan not only had her earpiece, but she was also right next to a record player and a microphone. She could have easily stunned the alien then and there to prevent more deaths in the area. But she didn't even do it. Like, why? You had it right there. Why couldn't you just do it anyway? Both Emmett, Reagan, and the guy, they all drive to a radio station. Yeah, and it just so happens that it's a radio station. And the guy thinks that Emmett tricked him and he brought the alien with him. But they're having this conversation in a garage with the garage door halfway open. And you want to know what happens? Just take a guess. Take a wild guess what happens. Yep, the alien grabs one of its arms and kills the guy, dragging him outside. Why couldn't they have this conversation when they were in a safer area inside? They could have done it there. But whatever. Anyway, with Emily Blunt's character Marcus and the baby, they're starting to run out of oxygen, and it just so happens at the exact same time, the alien decides to just rip the fucking manhole cover and tries to attack them. Due to plot conveniences, it can't even reach them. Anyway, Emmett and Reagan get to where the record player is being played, and they both agree that they're going to use Reagan's earpiece to create a giant signal wave of the weakness for all the aliens in the area. But it takes them like 10 fucking minutes just to get to where they gotta go, when they could have easily gotten there if they ran. It doesn't even matter, the alien is on their tail, they're gonna die if they don't do something about it. Anyway, Emmett gets his leg get all messed up, and because she doesn't want to lose him the same way she lost her father, she uses her earpiece against the microphone alongside the amplifier, and not only does it weaken the alien that's in the radio station, but it just so happens that Marcus also has the boombox player that has the same radio station frequency with him, and the alien that's there also gets stunned. And because for some reason earlier, Emily Blunt, for some reason, drops her gun when trying to lift where the boiler room is, even though it doesn't make any sense because it only took her one hand and not two. But because, once again, John Krasinski wants to use style over substance, he has Marcus use the gun and he shoots the alien. In fact, we don't even get to see Marcus shoot him. Instead, we get to see Reagan use some sort of cable, cane, stick, whatever, and bashes the alien where her position is over the head, but we don't get to see it from Marcus's perspective, which is just completely stupid and unfair. And as soon as I'm making all this shit up and complaining about it, the movie ends. Yeah, just like the first movie, it just abruptly stops. But here, it just abruptly stops because, well, what else are you gonna do? Honestly, everything else about the movie just sucks. There's so many more plot holes and plot contrivances, and it just boggles my mind that John Krasinski's character, a character who's been studying these aliens for over a year now, didn't think not once to move his entire family into a little shack right next to the waterfall, because not only they can make all the noise they want and they still won't get killed by the aliens, but they can't even swim. And besides, the waterfall has everything you need: food, water, shelter. So it just boggles my mind that why didn't he think of this before, but his 10-year-old daughter was able to figure this out not even an hour ago. Also, the fact that both Reagan and Marcus's actors have aged drastically in between both movies, which is really a problem with a lot of sequels to take place immediately after the first movie, especially with child actors, because puberty happens and they don't look the same and it looks really awkward. It didn't work well with It Chapter 2, and it doesn't work well here. Are there some things I like with the movie? Sure, the music's great, like always, like in the first movie. The cinematography is beautiful, especially the one shot where Reagan is in the cabana looking out into the sunrise. I thought that shot was amazing. And even the opening bit of the radio going out in the baseball game and everyone is not sure of what's going on, and then we get to see the comet, even though it doesn't make any sense in the context of the movie. I think that was all done well when it comes to tension building. Unfortunately, everything about this movie just sucks. If you like this movie, good for you. But honestly, in a critical standpoint, it just doesn't make sense. It's not that really good of a movie, and I'm just surprised that John Krasinski does not know the basics of writing and directing. Sure, this is probably his directorial writing debut, but I just hope that he can make potentially better stuff. I'm gonna give the first movie a 6 out of 10, and I'm actually kind of conflicted whether or not I should also give this movie a 6 out of 10 or something lower because of how dumb it is. Honestly, I'm just going to also give it a 6 out of 10 because there are some things I like about it, but there are just so many dumb things that just bring it down to a 6. This was actually kind of fun. If you're wondering where the 8th episode of Super Special Lesbians is, I'm still editing it right now, so please consider subscribing to see more content and even more movie reviews like this, because you might find some joy out of it, or even some rage, depending on how you look at it. I think it's kind of fun, and I kind of want to do more in the future. With that, I'm AJ, and I'll see you all in the next one.